I welcome guys to another episode of Dive into Real Estate Investing for Newbies podcast. I have a very special guest, Nicholas Perry, goes by the name of Nick Perry. He's the founder of Want to Sell Now, which is a real estate investment business. Nick, man, has started from small beginnings, very humble to where he's at now, and I'm just excited to get Nick to just share his experiences, his failures, his strengths, his wins, all that. So welcome to the show, Nick. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, Cecil, thank you so much for having me, man. Really blessed to be here. You're excited to talk with you and be able to provide as much value as I can and try to help save the viewers and listeners on here some time and energy and costly mistakes because I made a lot of them getting to where I'm at now.
Right. So man, just for y'all who don't really know Nick, Nick is humble and I'm sure we'll have his links and everything. So Nick, I think you doing like 40 deals a month, and what I think from 2014 you went to 2 million. Is that 2 million a year or 2 million? What's the numbers on that? I know you were
Yeah, last year we did right at 3 million in assignment fees
right.
in 2020. And I started the business in 2014, so I didn't come out of the gate making that much money. It actually took me 11 months and 104 appointments to get my first deal.
Okay.
So it wasn't like overnight. I came out and was doing all these deals right out of the gate. It took me a long time to get my first deal and then, really start building out the business. Like 2014 is when I began. And then I didn't go full time until 2017.
Okay, man, that's we can actually just kind of park right there for a little while because most people, you said it took you 11 months. Most people would have quit, man. This stuff don't work. I done spent this money on marketing. So, and I guess that kind of has to do with going all the way back from where you beginning, because I think you have everybody has a story, and I want to jump into that, man, just a little bit, like your story, where you came from. I think you were I was listening to some of your story, but just kind of share with the audience, man, because people think you come from, a lot of us may come from a real estate family and had money, and we just jump into the business, but that's really not it. So if you can just share a little bit about that, man, that'll be good.
Yeah, no, all my family, they're all, W-2, 9 to 5 employees. Yeah, I'm the only, real entrepreneur that is in my family. My grandfather owns a trucking company, but that's the only person that owns a company. So I watched him growing up, and my grandfather owns a large trucking company. So I kind of would watch him from afar, and I realized like, he was the role model of the family. And and then I would see, well, why? Well, if my grandfather is the role model of the family, and you guys are all doing these 9 to 5 jobs, obviously there's something not working here, right?
Right.
That y'all are doing the wrong thing. And I came from like a middle class family. Grew up playing baseball, football. As when I was a teenager, my parents were divorced, so my mom moved to a different school district. In order for me to stay in the same school district, she sent me to live with my dad. My dad lived, paycheck to paycheck. He could barely make rent. He had a 1 bedroom apartment in probably the worst area of town, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, a lot of crime and stuff like that. So I slept on the couch, and it was basically I had to fend for myself because my dad was out. He was a landscaper trying to make ends meet, and there'd be some weeks when he couldn't get to the grocery store. We didn't have enough money, and so I was, basically culture shock because I lived in a nice town, but I lived in like the worst area. So all my friends and everything lived in gated communities, had BMWs at 16 years old, and I didn't have anything, right?
Right.
And that used to make me really mad. I was like, dude, this is some BS. I need to, figure out how to come up and actually, do well for myself because nobody's coming to save me.
Right.
So, I started working at an early age at 14 years old. As soon as I get my worker's permit, I got a job at the dollar store and crushed it there. I'd work there after school and on the weekends. And then I actually moved to a cell phone store, like one of those cell phone kiosks, and I did really well there at 16, and they promoted me to store manager. And they thought I was 18, but I was only 16. So they
Hmm.
said it's going to be full time for you to be manager. So I stopped going to high school after that because they
Wow.
told me, hey, look, you can make 18 an hour plus commission, and that was it for my high school career. I was like, well,
Right.
screw school, I'm not going back. So I worked full time. I figured out how to get my actual high school diploma online, so I still graduated high school. But that was it for like my formal education. When I turned 18, my first early, career, I was a personal trainer. I got to train a lot of really, really good business owners and things like that, wealthy people. So through exposure of training clients, that kind of reinforced my belief, like I need to be an entrepreneur. Like it was in me at that point, from seeing my grandfather to now seeing all these really wealthy clients I train pulling up in, Maseratis and stuff like that. That okay, well, this is the way. I'm at a broken operating system. So when I was 24 years old, I had a little bit of money saved up, not a lot. I had like 5 grand saved up, and my lease was coming to an end in Northern Virginia, where I grew up, and I wanted to get out of my hometown. There just wasn't a lot there for me, so I decided I was going to put everything in the back of my beater Mazda 3 and
Hmm.
move down to Austin, Texas. I didn't know anybody down there. I didn't have any connections for a job. Basically, I just found a 1 bedroom apartment for like $1 grand a month, not on the nicest side of town. And I just went down there with no furniture, just some clothes, a laptop, and a cell phone. And, I had to figure it out pretty quick because you know how fast 5 grand goes in the real world,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So I
Yeah.
started looking for jobs and watching YouTube videos to figure out what kind of business did I want to start. And I came across real estate wholesaling, and it made a lot of sense to me. Looked at a lot of other businesses, but wholesaling was very simple. You contract the property for this, and then you mark it up and sell it to a fix and flipper or an investor. So it made sense. So I went really deep in on that, and I just started taking immediate action. But like I said earlier, it didn't happen for me quickly. I had to grind it out, and took me 11 months and 104 appointments to be able to even just get my first check.
Wow. Wow. So let's talk about that. So you went to Austin, and it seemed like your background was sales, right? Looked like you became real
Yeah,
good in sales. So
correct.
I think also I heard on one show you sold yogurt companies or something.
Yeah. So when I was personal training, one of my clients, he owned a chain of frozen yogurt stores. It was a small chain, but it was growing really quickly. And he could tell I was really good at sales just from talking with the clients and signing them up for memberships and things like that. And he was one of my long-term clients, and he was like, hey, would you like, hey, look, man, I know where you're at, because we train every single day. He was like, I
Right,
know where
right,
you're at, I know where you're trying to go. He's like, come work with me. You could do franchise sales, which basically I'd be calling like the owners of, like, say they own like 10 Domino's pizzas. I'd call them and I'd say, hey man, we got a opportunity for another franchise. Would you like to open one? I'd get them interested, and then we'd
right.
sell them on the franchise. So
Yeah, I mentioned that, man, because I know that was probably booming back then, but yoga companies are still booming right now. All that is streams of income, which, we can talk a little bit about that because I know you probably doing a little bit more other stuff. So for the wholesaling, how did you learn about wholesaling? Was it through social media? Did you have a coach first? Did you YouTube? Well, how did you find out about it?
yeah, man, I put myself through YouTube University and just started, binge watching Sean Terry videos, and
Okay.
that was what
Yeah.
was out. Sean Terry, he was like the number one teacher, and back
Right.
then. Now there's so much good information out there, but it was limited, for good coaches on YouTube. But so I really resonated with him. Watched all his videos. I got his coaching program and went through his online coaching program, and then it it took me even longer. Even after I got his coaching program, it wasn't until I actually went out and flew to go see him in Phoenix,
Right.
sat down with him and had him, like, give me one-on-one direction, that I
Right.
actually started getting real traction in the business.